Hello, everyone. I'm Sakir. I'm Sakir Temel. I work for Visuality. Thanks, Mateusz, for inviting me to RUC. It's my first talking in RUC, but I hope I will do it more often. So this can be the just start. In Visuality, every developer has a possibility to go a conference in Europe in a year. And this year I have been in RubyConf with my friend Ola. And today I'm going to talk about what I have learned in RubyConf. I'm not going to focus on each talk. I will for sure mention about each talk, but there are some talks which were really important, and I will be focusing on that. So this was the calendar for Ruby conference. There was Martin Fowler, there was Yehuda Katz, the Ember guy, probably you already know it. Hira Sari, I really liked his talk as well. And Aaron was there, Aaron Peterson. And there was a really great talk about open source. Today I will be focusing on that. And there was Piotr Szotkowski. He's actually organizing these events as well, as far as I remember. So the first talk was from Martin Fowler. He actually gave 3 speeches. The first speech was about refactoring. He even has some books about refactoring. I found some old slide of his, and I will go through here. In the beginning, he mentioned about TDD and what you have in TDD, red, green, then refactor. And he said that why you have two distinct steps. Red is like you're first writing the test, and then you're running it, and nothing is working because the code is not there. And then you're implementing the function, and then it's becoming green because it's resulting with the expected result. And then you're refactoring. So why you're not just writing? Why it is not like red and green? He said something like, refactoring and adding function are 2 different things. When you're adding function, you're just focusing on adding that function. You're reading the documentation, specification, whatsoever, and then you're just making it work. But when you're refactoring, it's totally different way of mindset. So this was the thing that he was mentioning about in this talk. And then he said, how to refactor in our teams. We should use leader pickup and comprehension refactoring, or opportunistic refactoring. Here's the thing with him. He's always creating some new terminology, and you can find these terminologies in his blog wiki. So he was telling that how to refactor. Should we plan the refactors? No, we should avoid planning refactors. We should always refactor. This was his motto. And you're seeing the poor code. And should we fix it now? Yes, then get to green, so make the tests working. And then clean the problem, and then it's done. If it is not for now, then finish adding feature, and then clean the problem. So the first talk was about that, and he actually mentioned another thing. It was really nice that you can use for your team leaders or for your clients. You shouldn't tell that, yeah, we need to refactor. Every manager hates refactoring because it's not productive. You're not delivering a new feature. And you're telling that, yeah, like we need to refactor. Why? Because this code is ugly. But it is working, but yeah, it is just ugly. It would be better. There is a new technology. We need to use it. No, you shouldn't use these terminologies. You should think about the economical facts of refactoring. So you should tell that if I refactor it now, then in next week, for example, with the refactored code, I will deliver much more faster than now. So you should tell that it will be more economic after we refactor. So this was his trick for us. So this was the first talk he made, and the second talk was about agile, like the things. Yeah, he has some books about that, and actually he was just mentioning about like what is written in these books. Yeah, he mentioned about agile. We can skip that part. And then the third talk was about Yeah, the third talk was about his blog wiki. He has his own engine for his blog, and actually it's not only blog, it's blog wiki or blog wiki. He said that. So you're seeing something in the blog and you don't know what is this, like leader pickup refactoring, and you can click on that and it's taking you to a wiki page. And the engine is written in Ruby and he's just not writing normal WordPress. So it was mentioning how it works. It was a boring talk. And then there was a girl from US, ask versus guest culture communication. It wasn't about technology at all. She's working in New Relic. Ask and guest culture, it's about that. For example, I'm asking to my friend that should we go to beer today? Let's go to beer today. So this is the ask culture. You're directly asking, and if he says no, then it's no. No harsh. But with guest culture, you're more thinking that, yeah, like last time I have invited him and he said that he's busy, he needs to do this, and this time if I invite him, he will probably say again no, so let's not invite him, and you're not inviting. And that girl was mentioning that, yeah, there are like two types of people and how to communicate if you are ask culture and if your friend is guest culture. And then there was a speech about the keyboards. They hear me typing, they hating. Is that true? What was the name of the guy you just presented? Krzek. Is that true that Piotr's title was, yeah, Shotowski's talk? They hear me typing, they hate him. You hate him also? Like, because this was the title. So he mentioned about the mechanical keyboards. He has a lot of knowledge about them.
I got used to it.
Yeah, you got used to? We also have one developer who has mechanical keyboards. They sound a lot, like it's like really noisy, but I think each key has a different sound, so it is like much more better. I don't know the reason, but yeah. And yeah, so it was like that talk. There was a guy, take the time, Jose Mota. Nobody understood what he was talking about. Seriously, it wasn't about technology, it wasn't about Ruby, or it wasn't about psychology, nothing. And the talk name was Take the Time, so he just took the time. I think they couldn't find someone. Seriously, everyone made this joke. There was a talk, Elixir Phoenix, but I think it moved to next day. I will come to that. And there were girls from Egypt, and they created a campaign at the talk, and they just got funded for Rails Girls Egypt, or like Rails Girls Summers Egypt, I think. It was like that. And there was a panel. You were just writing your questions, and these big gurus were answering it. And karaoke party was not good. And this is Braga. It was a small city, just like 1 hour from Porto. It was a really nice city. And this is Pastel de Nata. They're sweet. It's very nice, really. Okay, so the next day, the first one was Zen and Art of Package Management, Yehuda Katz. Yehuda Katz, I didn't know this guy. He's JavaScript guy. He was developer in Bundler and NPM. And yeah, he was mentioning about that. And additionally, also Yarn, I think. Additionally, he created his own, totally his own builder, package manager. It's called as Cargo. And he was mentioning what are the differences between the package managers and why it is hard to build a package manager. And you can see the best practices in building a package manager in Cargo. So he was so excited about his product. Yeah, so then there was Hiro Asari. Wait a second. Hiro Asari is working in, wait a second, please. There should be a screenshot. I'll find it. Ba-bum. Yeah. Hiro Asari is a guy who works in Travis CI, and he mentioned about a problem that you know the Travis CI, right? It's the continuous integration tool. And at one point, they had the situation that they had so many jobs, but they didn't have enough servers to run the jobs. It's not about your account, it's about the infrastructure they have. And they have dynamic auto-scaling. They don't want to spend a lot of money on the servers. They could buy 1,000 servers, but if you're not using this 1,000 servers, every hour means a lot of money. So they had this dynamic auto-scaling for their servers. And at some points, these servers were not enough. And he actually had a graph for that, like this. So the red parts were like when they didn't have enough servers to run the jobs. The good thing with this talk, he didn't look at this graph as a CEO or like as a business person or as a developer. He looked at this graph as a scientist, as a mathematician. He said that, yeah, there is a problem with this graph, and we are trying to avoid these reds and how to do this. So he was explaining what is control theory. If I say that I completely understand it, I would lie. So there is like control theory, so it's a mathematical problem. So he actually modeled this problem into control theory and tried to fix it with the mathematics and then convert it to the real world solution. So this was amazing talk. I really liked it. And this is the pure engineering. He's from Japan, no need to mention. So yeah, his talk was about that. And we had this open source power and the passion. So this was one of the best talks. For example, do you know how much is spent for RubyGems org infrastructure per month?
1 hour.
How much?
1 hour.
How much money?
Well, it depends on the salary.
No. Like for rubygems.org, how much it costs for infrastructure? Like $100 to $1,000. Any idea? Like RubyGems.org, we are like using every day when we install the gems and when we do bundle. And we are sure that it works all the time. No, that's too much. So it's like $30,000 per month. $32,000 per month monthly. And who is paying for that? Are you paying for that? Do you have any tax? He mentioned about Ruby tax. No, like nobody's paying for that. Who is paying for that? Like the big companies. And we are so sure that open source is so great, it's like so free and they don't have any problem, it's like pink world. But he was pointing out that it's not like that. We don't know the open source will exist for a longer time because there is a cost. Not only about the infrastructure, and I'm talking about only infrastructure, and the developers. And about the developers, we are contributing to open source when? After work. So we are actually not earning at that time. We are working for free for the other people. And he was telling that open source is privilege. Not everyone can do this because not everyone has free hours after work. They have their own children or they just don't have time. They have extra work. So he was telling that how to make open source sustainable for longer terms. First, of course, team leaders should make time, make open source contributors make contributing easier, and give respectful feedback. If you have any open source project, please give respectful feedback. I hate when I create an issue and they're just telling that, no, you cannot do this in this way. Open source beginners, small steps. And awareness, this is very important. We need to be really aware that open source is not the pink world and we need to contribute to there somehow. And he mentioned that there is a page called Ruby Together. You can donate to open source in there, and they are finding developers for Bundler and other big gems. And there is micropayments for your GitHub projects. And there is another option, for example, Sidekick is using. There is a free version of Sidekick, and they have Sidekick Pro. And thanks to Sidekick Pro, they can make Sidekick always free and maintainable. Yeah, and this was the talk about open source. And obrigado is thank you in Portuguese. This is the MG guy. There were lightning talks. It was very interesting. I'm thinking to attend to one of these lightning talk next year maybe. It was pretty interesting. And yeah, this is the talk about Elixir. By the way, yeah. It was a Ruby conference, but people were talking about Elixir all the time. I don't know why. Yeah, and at the end we had this guy, Elixir Phoenix, fast and concurrent and explicit. So, like, should we switch to Elixir now? Yeah, like Elixir is great, like rewrite all the apps in Elixir. No, of course not. When should we switch? Like, when should we do like a new project with Elixir? When you have a team with 10 team members and 5 or 6 of them know Elixir really good, and maybe it's the time to go to Elixir. So introducing Elixir the easy way, demand, like you have an existing product. Demand the process problems for the current stack. Okay, like this integration part is not working well, it's slow, so let's maybe think about how to improve that. Reasonably separate and limited problem, Spark to get started. For example, problem many concurrent connections, the domain was live tracking of couriers, and Spark was interest and basic knowledge. Then they have done in this way, they still kept Rails, but only the part which is for tracking the couriers has been converted into Phoenix. And then there was this Brazilian guy from Brazil. And he was talking about using GraphQL and Relay for hybrid Ruby. I think everyone is talking about that now. But he really gave a great example. He made a screenshot. This is imdb.com. And he was telling that how it would be if they were using GraphQL. So this talk was more about GraphQL, but he didn't mention about Rails part much, so this was a little bit missing for me. And the last talk, Aaron Peterson. He's working in GitHub now. He was talking about his cats all the time. Cats are the best. This is his cat, and he has his cat stickers. He was just giving this crazy guy. Yeah, and he was making jokes about all the other talks, about Martin Fowler, about Ask Yes culture, and this Ember guy, etc. He was talking about garbage collector in Ruby. Right now, he's working in garbage collector and how it should be. He mentioned how it's working and what he's thinking to do. So yeah, the conference was for 2 days. It was more close conference, I must say. It wasn't like 500 or 1,000 people. So you had a chance to talk to everyone, like to Martin Fowler, to Aaron, just like personally, or drink something together. So it was really great. I really enjoyed. So next year, I think I will be there again. So thank you for listening to me. It was a longer talk than I have expected. Next time I will make it shorter. Thank you.
Thank you, Emre.